Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a new daily thumbnail sketch update video. This week we did dystopian winter themes, a dystopian winter theme. So it's something I've never did before, so it was kind of new for me. But in the end, it kind of worked out, and I used different methods throughout this week. So yeah, this gives you a good idea what you can use to start making thumbnails of. The first one is black and white. I started off black and white as I did a lot before, but you will see me change up my work method. And by the way, if you have any suggestions for next week's theme or the week after that, please let me know in the comments, and I will take your suggestions into consideration. And it's a good sort of guide for me, a good source of inspiration to draw from when making these, because coming up with your own themes every week can be quite difficult. So you saw me starting in black and white, and I threw down a picture of some, I don't know, some futuristic art thingy. Not because I want that art, but because I wanted the color, and it gives me some detail in the city on the background. This one was supposed to be a crashed plane or spaceship or whatever, and a sort of semi-abandoned city in the background. I think I have cities on each one of these. This one I think took by far the longest of them all. Because yeah, I think it was because I started from scratch. I think that the method there is a little bit longer, so I'm not sure I'm gonna continue using this method, because when I'm designing in black and white, I'm designing sort of the first thing, the first setup, and after that I throw in some textures or photograph or whatever, and based on that I tend to redesign a lot of stuff. This one is a different method as well. I started right away with color, and that's something that I haven't done for quite some time now, so this was also new for me, but it was a good practice. In the end, I think it turned out a little bit too light, but that's something you can easily sort of alter in Photoshop. Photoshop is a really powerful tool to change that, and this is just a sort of a generic city scene. This isn't necessarily dystopian, but if we were to make this into a painting, we could add a lot of things to really make it that dystopian, futuristic feel. So yeah, this one was actually quite quick. It's a lot quicker than the first one, and all the ones after this one are also a lot quicker, because I used a really easy method for the ones after that, and I decided to sort of add some sci-fi elements to it. So the next three, or actually the rest of the next four of them, so the rest of this this week, I used a photograph as a sort of a template or a plate to start painting on. And this one was the first, and I think this one was the least, or the worst, I probably should say, of all of them. But I think if I were to spend a little bit more time with this one, I could actually make it into I think a really cool looking scene. I think that the gray atmosphere of this photograph is really fits the theme really well, I guess. Especially with the lake, and you cannot really, yeah, I cut off a lot of the lake, but I don't know, maybe you can get some, put in some suggestions that the water is toxic or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely something that I could turn into a painting. And this one was kind of funny. I found that photograph, and I thought, you know what, maybe I can do something with it. The foreground is kind of cool, and I kind of want to keep just the foreground, and the clouds are also kind of cool. What if we can make this into a sort of a city? So that's how I started with this one, and I think this is a good example to show you that the subject matter on the photograph doesn't really matter for the type of painting that you want to do. I mean, I use the photograph to sort of get the color palette, and the scenery. So it's winter, there's snow, but the windmills are entirely gone by the end of the in a couple of minutes. The windmills are gone, and if you know that they were there, you can kind of sort of find them back. But that's something I did on purpose, because I wanted to sort of pay homage to the thing that brought inspiration. And yeah, I really like that idea of using photographs as a sort of a plate on to work on. So I really thought this mountain was cool, but in the end the result didn't really come out the way I wanted it to be. I think it's partly because the mountain I wanted to be the focal point of this thumbnail sketch is quite far away, so I wanted to focus on the bit where I'm painting right now, or where I was painting. But it's quite far away, so I probably should have zoomed it in a little bit further. But if you were to make this into a painting, we could decide to crop it again and to sort of slightly change it up. So here you see me sort of copying a light texture for... could use this for architecture and lights of a city. I thought it would be kind of cool if there were lights in the mountain because there are buildings there, but in the end it didn't really work out the way I wanted it. I threw some more on them, and this is the end result. And here you can see me choosing a really strange color palette, but I can hardly talk fast enough because I already changed the color palette. As you can see, these are some old fishing boats or something on a beach, and the photograph has really nothing to do with the end result here. Of course, I'm gonna keep this things with the fishing boats, but I wanted to get another sort of crashed ship, spaceship, or whatever. So that's what I'm gonna turn them into, and I decided to put a city in the background just to sort of get that scenery right, and then I changed up the sort of the wreck at the front. And I think this one turned out to be my favorite one. I think this one and the first one. Maybe because I think I spent the most time with these, and also because I sort of used the photograph, but I really changed up the subject matter of the photograph. Oh, and the top one of the top one on the right is also one of my favorites. So these three, the first one, top one on the right, and this one are definitely my favorites. But the video is already almost to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you can draw inspiration from it. And if you liked it, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!